You have watched that show 5 times, maybe 10. Your friends ask why you keep watching the same thing when there are thousands of new shows you have never seen. And you say you do not know, but deep down, there is a reason, and it says more about your mind than you think. You know every line, every plot twist, every joke. There are no surprises left, and yet you press play again. You scroll past the new releases, past the trending shows, past everything everyone is talking about, and you go back to the same episode you have seen a dozen times before. People do not understand it. They call it lazy, boring, a waste of time. They ask if you are stuck in a rut, if you are afraid of trying new things, if something is wrong. But here's what they do not realize. Rewatching is not about the story. It is about what the story gives you. And for some people, that need runs deeper than entertainment. Let me tell you about Sarah. She is 29 years old, works in marketing, creative, social, curious about the world. By all accounts, someone who should love discovering new things, and she does, in most areas of her life. But when it comes to what she watches, she has 3 shows: The Office, Friends, Gilmore Girls. She has seen each one at least 20 times. She knows the episodes by heart. She can quote full scenes from memory, and she has no interest in changing. Her friends used to send her recommendations, new dramas, award-winning limited series, documentaries everyone is raving about, and she would smile, say thanks, and never watch them, because at the end of a long day, when her brain is tired and her emotions are scattered, she does not want new, she wants familiar. And for years, she thought that made her boring, predictable, someone without curiosity. But then she started learning about the psychology of comfort and control, and everything made sense. Because rewatching is not passive. It is not lazy. It is one of the most underrated forms of self-care. And the people who do it are not avoiding life. They are managing it. So if you are someone who rewatches the same shows over and over, here is what is really happening in your brain, and why it says something powerful about how you process the world. Reason number 1, your brain craves predictability in an unpredictable world. Life is full of uncertainty. You do not know what is going to happen tomorrow. You do not know how that conversation is going to go. You do not know if your effort will pay off. You do not even know if the new show you start will be worth the time investment. But when you rewatch something, you know exactly what is coming. You know how it ends. You know which scenes will make you laugh and which ones will hit emotionally. There is zero risk, zero disappointment, zero surprise. And for some people, especially those who deal with anxiety or high stress, that predictability is medicine.
Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. The more you are exposed to something, the more comforting it becomes. Your brain recognizes the patterns. It knows what to expect. And in that familiarity, it finds safety. Sarah realized this when she noticed her rewatching habits spiked during stressful periods. When work was chaotic, she watched The Office. When she felt lonely, she watched Friends. When life felt too fast, she watched Gilmore Girls. It was not about the show. It was about creating an island of predictability in the middle of uncertainty. If you rewatch the same things, you are not boring. You are building emotional stability in a world that constantly demands you adapt. Reason number 2. Rewatching gives you control over your emotional experience. When you watch something new, you do not know how you are going to feel. It might be stressful. It might be sad. It might leave you hanging with a cliffhanger. It might disappoint you. You are surrendering control of your emotional state to something unknown. But when you rewatch, you are in the driver's seat. You know exactly which episode will make you feel cozy. You know which scenes to skip if you are not in the mood. You know the emotional arc from beginning to end. You choose the feeling you want, and the show delivers it every time. This is especially true for people who are highly sensitive or emotionally drained. After a long day of managing other people's emotions, deadlines, conflict, and stress, the last thing they want is an emotional gamble. They want guaranteed comfort. Rewatching gives them that. Sarah started noticing this when she tried watching a new critically acclaimed drama everyone loved. 15 minutes in, she felt tense. She did not know where it was going. She did not know if she would like the characters. She did not know if it would end well. And her brain, already exhausted from the day, said no, not tonight. So she turned it off and put on an episode of The Office she had seen 10 times, and immediately she felt her shoulders relax, because she knew this. She trusted this, and tonight that mattered more than novelty. If you rewatch instead of exploring new content, you are not afraid of the unknown. You are just protecting your peace. Reason number 3. Nostalgia is a powerful emotional regulator. There is a reason you rewatch shows from your past. Shows you watched during a certain period of your life. It is not just about the content. It is about the feeling those shows are attached to. When you watch that show, your brain does not just process the plot. It also activates memories of who you were when you first watched it. The version of you that had fewer responsibilities, fewer worries, maybe more hope.
Maybe just a different kind of peace. Nostalgia is not about wanting to go back. It is about borrowing a feeling from the past to soothe the present. Research shows that nostalgia reduces loneliness, increases feelings of social connection, and helps people cope with stress. It reminds your brain of continuity, that even though life has changed, some part of you is still the same. Sarah rewatched Gilmore Girls because it reminded her of college, a time when her biggest concern was finishing an essay, not managing a team or paying a mortgage. Watching it did not make her want to go back. It just gave her a break from who she had to be now. For 40 minutes, she got to remember a version of herself that felt lighter. If you rewatch old favorites, you are not stuck in the past. You are using the past as a resource for the present. Reason number 4, your brain is overstimulated and needs a break. We live in a world of infinite choice. Thousands of shows, millions of videos, endless content competing for your attention, and every piece of new content requires mental effort. You have to learn new characters, follow new plots, decode new humor, process new themes. That is cognitive load. And when your brain is already managing work, relationships, decisions, emotions, and daily life, adding more newness can feel like too much. Rewatching removes that load. Your brain does not have to work. It already knows the story. It can just relax into the experience. It is the mental equivalent of coming home and putting on sweatpants. This is especially true for people with ADHD, anxiety, or anyone in a high-demand job. Their brains are already processing so much. At the end of the day, they do not want to process more. They want to rest, and rewatching is rest. Sarah worked in a fast-paced environment where she had to make decisions all day. By the time she got home, she had decision fatigue. The idea of choosing a new show, committing to it, and investing mental energy felt exhausting. So she chose the path of least resistance. The show that required nothing from her but presence. If you rewatch because new shows feel like work, that is not laziness. That is your brain asking for a break. Reason number 5. You are not looking for a story. You are looking for a feeling. This is the big one. Most people think rewatching is about the plot, but it is not. It is about the emotional atmosphere. You do not rewatch that show because you forgot what happens. You rewatch it because of how it makes you feel. Safe, warm, seen, understood, less alone. That feeling is what you are chasing, and you know exactly which show delivers it. New content is a gamble. It might give you that feeling, it might not, but your comfort show is a guarantee every time. Psychologists talk about this in terms of emotional regulation. People develop attachments to media that helps them regulate their emotional state, a comedy that always makes them laugh, a drama that always makes them feel understood, a show that always reminds them they are not alone. Sarah realized she did not love The Office because it was the funniest show ever made. She loved it because it gave her a very specific feeling, a feeling of workplace absurdity that made her own job feel more bearable, a feeling of found family that made her feel less isolated, a rhythm and tone that her nervous system recognized as safe. She was not rewatching a show. She was returning to a feeling, and that feeling mattered. If you rewatch the same content, you are not unimaginative. You are emotionally intelligent enough to know what you need. Reason number 6, rewatching is a form of control when life feels out of control. When everything around you is changing, uncertain, or chaotic, rewatching becomes an anchor. It is something stable, something you can rely on, something that will not let you down. This shows up most clearly during times of stress, loss, grief, or transition. People rewatch during breakups, during moves, during job changes, during global crises, because when the world is spinning, it helps to have something that stays the same. It is not escapism, it is grounding. Sarah noticed that during the hardest year of her life, she rewatched Friends more than ever, not because she was avoiding her feelings, but because she needed something that felt steady while everything else fell apart. That show became a touchstone, a reminder that some things could still be counted on. If you lean into rewatching during hard times, you are not weak, you are using a healthy coping tool. So here is the truth. Rewatching the same shows is not a sign of stagnation. It is not a lack of curiosity. curiosity. It is not you being stuck. It is your brain seeking comfort, control, and emotional balance in a world that is constantly demanding you stretch, grow, change, and adapt. You are allowed to have spaces in your life where nothing is new, where nothing is a challenge, where you already know the ending, and that is exactly why it feels good. The people who do not understand rewatching are usually the people who do not need it. Their nervous systems are different, their stress levels are different, their needs are different, and that is okay. But if you are someone who has watched the same show 10 times and you still are not tired of it, you do not need to defend that. You do not need to justify it. You do not need to prove you are still growing or curious or open to life. You are simply honoring what your mind needs right now. And that is one of the wisest things you can do. So the next time someone asks why you keep watching the same thing, you can smile and say, because it makes me feel good. And that is reason enough. If this resonated, drop a comment with the show or movie you have rewatched the most. No judgment, just curiosity. Let us see what this community keeps coming back to. Subscribe to Mental Compass. Let your mind find its direction.